Hey guys, welcome to this month's electronics news. We're going to be doing this hopefully once every month. I'm going to kind of pick some different highlights. It may not necessarily be things that come out that are brand new, but I'll be picking some highlighted things that I see throughout the week when I check through different websites and different things, looking at new electronics and newer things that are out and kind of amazing things that might be out that some people might not have actually seen yet. Today we'll be looking at some fun robotic toys, some amazing electronic products, as well as we'll be talking about different all-in-one dev boards. So it's some pretty cool stuff that we have up on our plate today. So let's go ahead and get into it. First thing that we're going to be looking at is what's called the Beagle Black. What it is it's actually another board similar to the Raspberry Pi. It is about $45 US, so it's a little bit more expensive than the Raspberry Pi, just a hair. But it has some pretty interesting specs, so we'll go ahead and we'll go through these specs real quick for you. It's got an AMD 335X 1 GHz ARM Cortex-8 processor. It's got 512 megabytes of DDR3 RAM. It also has 2 gigabytes of 8-bit eMMC onboard flash storage. It has a 3D graphics accelerator card, which is actually pretty darn cool, similar to like the Raspberry Pi. It has 2 times PRU 32-bit microcontrollers that make up this little guy. So far as connections, it has a USB client for the power and communications to actually program it as well as power it. It also has a USB host, Ethernet, HDMI. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's also got the two 46-pin headers, and that's about all the picture of it here in just a minute. All in all, the hardware looks pretty sound. It looks pretty good on it. It has some pretty good specs. It's a little beefier than the, especially with that more powerful ARM Cortex processor and the 3D accelerator and a little more memory and everything else. So that the hardware specs, that's pretty good. Software-wise, it can use the Angstrom Linux, Android, Ubuntu, the Cloud9 IDE. It uses a whole bunch of different operating systems, so you can kind of put whatever you want on it. You're not just secluded to certain versions of Linux. Of course, if you're a big programmer, you'll probably even with the Raspberry Pi, you can probably get all the different OSs to fit on it if you've got some ingenuity in you. So let's go ahead and take a look at it, and it looks like this is what the top is going to look like of it. So you got you have the Ethernet port on one side, and then you've got the all the processors and stuff in the middle, USB on the other. We'll flip it over and take a look at the bottom. That's kind of at the bottom, but like I said, as you can see, and this is where you can see that HDMI port. And like I said, I don't know if I really like the micro one. I understand they run out of room. They put other things in there, and so they're out of room. But it would have been nice to have the standard one. I do like that about the Raspberry Pi. So anyway, that's basically the Beagle Black, all in all. And so, first impressions. Looks pretty cool. Could be fun. Could be fun for us to go through. I may end up getting one at some point just to see if we can, just to play with it and evaluate it and see what we think. Let me know if you guys would like a review of that one. That could be interesting. Next on our plate, we'll look at the Intel Galileo. This one actually looks pretty cool. There's a lot of people looking to use this for a multitude of different things. Like I think I saw an LED like house or something, like where the walls all change colors using LEDs, and they use the Galileo to do it. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into how much it is and all that fun stuff. It's around. It's a little more expensive. It's the most expensive out of all of them. It is around. Well, not all of them. There is another one out there that's a little more expensive than this even, but this one is $64.95 US dollars. And the other price for the Beagle Black, that was in USD as well. So anyway, me being from the States, that's the currency I'm going to be working in. The interface type, it has Ethernet, it has SD card, it can be used as a USB host, for programming and whatnot. It has the USB client, RS-232. It's got a 10-pin JTAG. It's got mini PCI Express, which is pretty cool. It's got SPI or SPI serial peripheral interface. It has I2C, and the Arduino Shield connectors. It has all that cool stuff. It is, and yes, I said Arduino, it is Arduino compatible. It has an area where you can actually use the Arduino sketches and whatnot. You can use those with it, and actually go seamlessly from, if you're an Arduino programmer, you can go ahead and keep programming in those Arduino sketches using the Arduino IDE, and this system will accept it as well. The main OS that they use for this guy is Ubuntu Linux, is the main one that they'll use running on it. So let's go ahead and look at some hardware specs. It's got a 400 megahertz 32-bit Intel Pentium processor. It has 16 kilobytes level 1 cache. It has 512 kilobytes of on-die embedded SRAM. It is single thread, single core, constant speed. It's got ACPI compatible CPU sleep states. Those are all supported. Integrated real-time clock, so it's got the onboard RTC. It also comes with a battery as well. The battery, the coin cell 33 volt coin cell battery holder is already on it. So some pretty impressive stuff. I like that it's kind of interesting that they put one of their Pentium processors in it. That's nice. It's also got 8 megabytes of legacy SPI flash to store all your sketches and whatnot on. It's got also room for bootloaders. It has between 256 kilobytes and 512 kilobytes of that are dedicated for the sketch storage. It also has 512 kilobytes of embedded SRAM, 256 megabytes of DRAM, optional micro SD card, slot that it'll offer up to 32 gigabytes of storage. Has the USB storage, so compatible with any USB 2.0 is what they're going for. Has 11 kilobytes of EEPROM programmed via the EEPROM library. But it still has some EEPROM on there. So all in all, they put a lot of bells and whistles on this guy. This guy has a lot of stuff to offer. Again, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at it here. We've got the, of course, power is over there, on the left. And up above, we got the Ethernet connector. Most all of them have Ethernet connectivity. It does have PCIe, which is interesting. However, I don't see like HDMI or any type of HDMI or just straight out of the box graphical interfaces whatsoever. However, I'm sure you can use the PCI Express as some sort of graphical interface of some sort. Don't know. Looks interesting. Would be fun to try out and play with. Let's go ahead and flip it over and take a look at the back of the device. So you can see quite a few different things going on here. Very sturdy design. Yeah, looks like a pretty good device. All in all, I think that it's going to be pretty cool. They have not totally come out yet. It looks like, as of right now, Mouser is the only people carrying this. Now, I could be wrong. I suggest checking the links. I'm going to put links for all this stuff in the description. But check the links and stuff and see if there's others. But I'm pretty sure, I think as of right now, Mouser is the only one that is stocking it and actually has basically like a release date for it. So you might want to check them. And I think it's sometime in December is when they ship. So ought to be exciting. Ought to be exciting to get one of these. Now, onwards and upwards, we're going to look at something that's really fun, something that ought to be interesting that I actually have seen. However, a little on the pricey side, but still really cool, and that is cubelets. Has anybody seen the cubelets? These have been a really cool, really fascinating little device. What they are is they're basically a way of building robotics without software and without really any, with building any hardware. The hardware that you have is you have these little cubes, they're little blocks, and as you see in the picture, they're little blocks, and they snap together, and then they communicate between each other depending on what kind of blocks you snap together. Now, if you get the basic kit, it's around $150. It's like $149 something United States dollars. And this is what you'll get. You'll get a drive block, a flashlight block, a brightness block, a distance block, a battery block, and a passive block. And what those all do is, let's say you can assemble a drive block, which is a block with little wheels, with a battery block, and let's say you do the distance block, and then maybe it'll respond to objects. You put something in front of it and it'll run away from it. Then let's say you install maybe a light block, and it'll shine like a flashlight, and then it'll seek out areas and or move around. I mean, it's just basically the combinations are endless with this thing. It can be anything. It'll do all kinds of different things depending on how you put it together and which sensors you use where, and I don't know, they just look like a ton of fun. So I highly recommend you guys check that out. If anything, check it out on here on YouTube and look at some of the videos they have of them. They look like an immense amount of fun. Last thing I want to talk about before this video gets too long, and one of the most amazing things is the 3-drag. Here's a picture. How many of you are just totally blown away by 3D printing? I'm blown away by 3D printing. I think 3D printing is amazing, from the MakerBot to actual full-blown, 3D printing machines that cost thousands of dollars. Well, here's a cool deal. 3drag is something very interesting. It is a fully open source, in every means of the word, open source design for a 3D printer. The 3drag can print a device. I can't remember what size of things it can be. I should have that. But the 3drag is a 3D printer, but like I said, it's fully open source, which means the drawings for it, the mechanical specifications, the parts lists, everything you need to build one of these is listed. All the documents you need to build these is listed. And so all the drawings are in DXF format for ease to transfer to other, let's say, 3D machining, because you can do 3D machining, with all kinds of different. There's tons of people on the internet that can do 3D machining and things like that. And you just send them the files, they machine the parts, they mail them to you, and you have it. So basically everything is open source. They even open source all the electronics and pretty much everything that you need. It has all the different softwares, the electronics, the schematics, all the drawings, everything you'd ever need to build one of these, the bill of materials for all the different mechanical, electrical parts and everything they have. So I implore you to definitely check this thing out. It's called the 3drag, and I'll put a link in the description below to the wiki that tells you all this stuff and has everything to put. This is something that is really, really cool. I think this would be fun to look at and to put together. And I haven't had time yet to search YouTube to see if if I could find any videos of people putting these together. It's kind of a last minute thing. I ran across this right before I started to make this video, and wow, I just think it's really cool. I think you ought to check it out. So guys, that's it. That ought to do it for the news for this month. Hopefully you found this useful. If you guys like it, give me some likes. If we get enough likes on this, then I'll maybe continuing these videos, showing you other things. If it's stuff that you've already seen anyway or whatnot, apologize for that. You can always send me suggestions or let me know of different things that you've seen that might be pretty cool we could throw on the show. Because I'm going to make this kind of like a show-like thing. At least every once a month I'm going to say hi, and we'll take a look at what's happening in the electronics community. So anyway, guys, let me know. Like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff, and that ought to do it. Take care, guys.